Welcome to the Home Education with Ease podcast. I'm your host, Christine Furman, a homeschool mom, entrepreneur, and educator with over 20 years of experience in the areas of elementary and special education. It's my mission to help you create lifelong learners and embrace a holistic approach to education at home. I'll be sharing practical strategies, inspiration, and resources to support your family. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom, a business owner, or balancing work and homeschool, you're in the right place to connect with a community that values education just as much as you do. Join us each week as we ditch the stress, embrace the joy of learning, and set your family up for a lifetime of success. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the Home Education with Ease podcast. I'm your host, Christine Furman, your home education expert. And today we are welcoming back a special guest with us. Yafit is back with us in the studio today, and I am so excited to have her with us today. So when I first met Yafit, we had a wonderful conversation. She was asking me all the questions as I am a home education expert, and she was considering homeschooling and what would that even look like for a business owner. Her schedule is already packed, already full. How would I even fit in adequately educating my child? And we had this beautiful conversation, and guess what we did not do? We did not record it at all. So we have decided to kind of recreate that conversation because it was so good. Like we both got off of that call and we both sent each other messages and said, that was such good information. I remember walking away and why did we not record? There was so much good information. She asked so many amazing questions. And I was like, all right, if she has these questions, possibly thinking of homeschooling, maybe not this year, maybe next year, who knows when it would be, there's other families out there that are asking and wondering these same questions. So I said, you know what? We got to re-record. We've got to do this and we've got to hit record this time. So without further ado, Yafit, thank you so much for coming back on the show with me.
Thank you so much, Christine, for having me back. I'm so excited to be here again. And I think that you're so right that if I have those questions, there must be other families who are having those questions as well and wanting to start their journey with homeschool. So that's pretty awesome. And I'm so excited to talk about it again and to help other families.
Yes, thank you so much. And if you guys didn't have a chance to check out last week's episode, Yafit shared her story of how she has transitioned a lot of things in her life and is now running a business while, being a single mom. And that's when all of these questions started coming up. How, if I'm a single mom running a business where my schedule is already full, how would I even fit in homeschooling and what does that look like? So we're going to talk about that today. So do you want to just refresh everyone a little bit about your business and then we can just dive in?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. So I'm the owner and founder of Yeli Creations, a creative brand based in Pittsburgh, PA, where I create playful Hebrew resources for kids, handmade craft kits and workshops, events and parties, and also the Charms Bar experience for girls and for women, where they can express themselves through creating their own jewelry piece. And I'm also a curious mom to know more about homeschool, like you said. As a single mom entrepreneur, I've been really exploring it for such a long time, and I'm so happy that we had a chance to talk because that really gave me a lot of good information. I'm really considering that path for me and my daughter. She is 8-year-old. So that will be for us switching from the traditional school from the traditional school to the homeschool.
And I know a lot of families are out there are saying yes, that is something that we're thinking of doing, right? there's a lot of shifts that are happening within education. There's just so many things. We see it on social media. I talk to a lot of teachers. I talk to a lot of parents. I'm hearing so many things that are happening. And I know a lot of families are saying, all right, Christine, we need another option. I don't want to send my kids to public school. Charter schools, they're not always that as what they're cracked up to be. Sometimes it's just not a great environment. Private schools are very expensive. Christine, what is a different option? And they say, I can never homeschool my kids, right? I get that all the time. How could I even do this? One, I don't even know where to start. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to teach my kids all of these things. And that's when I say, oh, come to me because I would love to, just walk alongside you on your journey. And that is something that I love doing with families. I love being able to walk alongside them because every single family is different and unique. And we all have our own educational journey, not only per family, but also per child. And for you, you just have your daughter, but in other families that have multiple children, that journey looks different for each of them. Some children are more hands-on and they want to tactile and do all the movements and all of those things. And other children are like, just give me the information. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to move forward. And so that's the beauty of EduPlay is one, we can take all of those forms of learning and meet the needs of your children or show you how to do all of them and you do it. And then it is naturally meeting the needs of all of your kids because we are moving, we are writing, we are watching videos, we are getting outside, we are cooking. So it's a combination of all of those things to really meet the needs of all of the learners. So, what is a reason that you would consider homeschooling?
I think I have various reasons. One of the reasons are what you just mentioned, everything that you hear about school system. That's something that has been on my mind as well. I don't think there is one way of learning that fits all kids, and I see it more and more uh, through the years of my daughter is in school. I see that she may need some different setting that matches her needs and her personality a little bit more. She needs to move around and being strict, being sitting all day. And it's, I see how it hard for her at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day. And as we talked about on our last episode, as an entrepreneur, the idea of building a life that is more intentional and flexible and matching your needs is something that I also connect with, and I want some more connection with her, more time with her.
Mm-hmm.
It feels more natural to me that she will be most of the day with me, even
Yes.
if it's in a home school setting and I'm working at my office and she's doing her homework, her homeschool. Um, it feels more natural to me than her being 8 hours
Away
in
from you.
away from me.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
Um,
agree.
so yeah, and there are other reasons as well, but those are the main reasons. How can we fit what she needs as a kid? What will be better for her? What she enjoy the way she enjoy better to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just the setting and our lifestyles, like you said, each family and each kid has a different needs and different way to learn. And
Yeah. And how do you feel that your daughter learns best? What do you feel like would be her learning style?
um, I think it's more playfulness,
Mm-hmm.
more unique materials. She really loves art and craft. So something like that that will get
Yes.
her attention in that way, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily sitting with worksheets, but
Yes.
exploring outside, learning, giving her different ways to learn that are new.
Mm-hmm. I love
Um,
that. I
yeah,
I
so
think too, as I just want to interject there for a second, because that is something that I love doing with my kids, right? There was a year that we did the safari. And sure, you could sit down and you could answer questions and research it and write all these things. We read books, we watched intentional videos about it, and they created a safari scene. And they're able then to take that information and it locks in their brain a little bit more because it was more hands on, it was more applicable to them. Like we're reading all of these different kinds of books, different genres of like a chapter book, a fiction, a nonfiction, all of these animals. What animals are we going to find? And then, kind of now we can watch a video on it. We've learned about it. We can watch something about it. And now now I want you to show me what you know. I always say that. That's like my assessment term. Show me what you know, because that's all it is. I want to know what you know and I want to support you where you're at. Because if you don't know it, it's not a big red check mark. It's okay. Let's go back a little bit. Let's revisit this and let's talk about it a little bit more. And maybe not necessarily with the safari, but when you get to math skills or reading skills, it's not, well, nope, you don't know it. Time to move on. It's no, we can pause and we can go back and help them understand it in a different way. And again, we have that opportunity and that flexibility to say, okay, well, the way that I presented it, it didn't come across correctly, or you didn't absorb that information well. Let me look at different resources that I have, find a YouTube video. I mean, we live in such an age that we have resources at our fingertips, and so many different resources that we can get and share them with our kids. And that's so beautiful. Instead of saying, here's one way to learn this math problem, that's it, figure it out. If you don't know it, it's wrong. And I just
yeah.
don't buy that. I feel like we want it to be applicable to real life. We want them to understand the skill. And then why do we need that skill? How would we use that later in life?
Yeah, and I think that I can give an example, and you asked how the best way that she will enjoy learning. When she is bringing sometimes math homework um, that are very challenging for her, we will do like a play role that I'm the teacher and she's the kid, she's the student, or the other way around, and she's teaching me and I'm the student, and kind of like a playful way that
Mhm.
will be like, okay, it's different than this is the math problem you need to solve,
Right.
but to bring into the playfulness and the freedom that you can kind of like express yourself to in that way. So,
I love that. That was me. I loved being the teacher. I don't know. You guys probably could tell that, right? But that was so me. I was teaching my brother and sister from a young age. I would be the student that would take all the extra workbooks home and like set up my stuffed animals. I mean, I was teaching from as early as I can remember. But that's such a cool way to let our kids be able to teach, because then it's like, all right, what did you absorb from this information that you were taught? And oh, now I can see where you're tripped up. Now I can see where the challenge is for you, because, this is where the disconnect is. Oh, I love that so much. So good. So good. So one of the topics that we have been talking about a lot is, how am I going to do this? Right? As entrepreneurs, we are busy especially those first years. I mean, here I am still busy, in my own business. So I don't know that it really lets up, until you start really building a team. But it's a lot of work. We're always doing something. We're always, we've got to set some boundaries so then that way we are not working all the time. But then how do we work, continue to build the business, but then also provide a solid education for our kids? And I'm sure that has been a question for you, right?
yes, that's something that is a really a challenge for me to find the time, because I'm still one woman business, doing everything, taking care of all the departments. So it's kind of like, so how do I add that to my day, and how that's going to work? Because I really want her to I really want us to switch to homeschool, but how does it really look in real life,
Mm-hmm.
day-to-day routine, to make sure that we are following the routine,
Right.
our routine with homeschooling and my business routine. And for me, each day can look so different.
Yeah.
One day is outdoor event, the other one is meetings. So it's not like
All the same every day.
all the
Yeah.
same every day, the same schedule. Yes.
Exactly. And I think the biggest thing for that is finding what the schedule is for 1 month, right? What is the schedule going to look like for this month? Because that is the beauty of where we're at. As an entrepreneur, as a homeschool family, our schedule is ever changing. It is not consistent. It is not the kids are going to school, 8 to 4 every day. I'm going to work from 9 to 5 every day. Like that's just not the reality for it. You're absolutely right. We have meetings at different times. We have different events. We have, if the kids are doing their own activities, like my kids started theater this past year. So that changed our schedule, but it allowed me to have some intentional time without them home too. So, yes, it changed up my schedule, but it also added to that intentional work time. And then we just kind of flip flopped our day a little bit. So, typically, what we would do for our schedule is we would do a 9 to 12 and we would, enjoy our morning together. So me as an entrepreneur, I'm an early riser. So I get up early, I go for my walk, I do my exercises, my devotions, different things like that. Like the things that I need to do to ground myself in the morning. Now, before when my kids were little, I was working at that time. I would get up at 5 a.m. and I would get on the computer right away because I was like, it's quiet in my house and I need that quiet time. No one needs me right now and I'm going to work. So my schedule has changed over the years because now I can focus on my routine and the kids, whenever it's my work time, they can entertain themselves more. Now they're 9 and 10 or 9 and 11. I keep messing up their ages and they're like, Mom, I'm not 10 anymore. I'm 11. But now that they are at that point, I can work more throughout the day because they know their routine. They know what needs to be accomplished. They can work more independently. But that was different. That was not how it was when I first started. And as a first year homeschooling family, it wouldn't look like that either necessarily because we have to figure out what does this new schedule look like? What are the expectations of us being home? What are the expectations of what does the school day look like? So I'll just give you a typical school day now, currently, but it's, enjoying the morning together and it's not rushing. I have had those days where I'm like, hurry up, go, go, go. And then it's like, now we're miserable. Now everyone's in a bad mood. And I don't want to do that. Like, I want everyone to get a nice breakfast in. We're going to go for a walk. We're going to get outside. So typically, if it's not super hot or if it's not raining or super cold, I guess, if the weather is nice, we are going to go outside and go for a walk because our kids need that movement early in the morning. And I recommend this to anyone that is listening where their kids are still in school. So I'm going to tell a little story. I'm sure I'll share this story later on too. But I remember, because this has been coming up a lot for me, is a lot of schools are telling parents that, oh, your kid has ADHD and they have so much energy. Well, what do you expect? They're sitting in a desk all day. Of course they have energy. They're children, right? And where and when do they outlet their energy? So this situation happened when my brother and sister were in school, in elementary school, and that comment was made about one of my siblings. And, it was like, oh, you might consider medication. And my parents were like, no way, we're not doing medication. So apparently, I don't remember any of this at all. I'm 5 years older than them, so I must have been totally just out of the loop. But he used to make them run back and forth between the house and a tree that we had in our yard. Or if it was cold, he would have them run around the dining room table in the morning. So before they went to school, they were exerting all of this energy that they had. And they had a meeting with the teacher later on, and it was like, I don't know what you did, but it made a huge difference. And it's like, yeah, they just had an opportunity to outlet that energy that's all balled up inside them. They wake up and they're full of energy. So that's something to think about too, is before we even start our day, is how are we going to help them get some of the energy out so they can actually focus? So whether that's going on a walk, whether that is a YouTube video, there's tons of movement videos out there, finding something to do or just doing some movement yourself. Like when I taught life skills and even when I would do calendar with my own kids, when we do calendar, we jump for the number of days that it is. And yes, at the beginning of the month, it's not too many jumps, but by the end of the month, it's a lot of jumping. So it's movement right there in the beginning of your day. And I think that is really important for our kids to be able to say, okay, yes, I've exerted energy. I am ready to focus now. And then being able to just kind of lean into that. Like, what are we going to talk about? Here's our math skill. Here's our reading skill. And also kind of looking at your schedule for the week. What does Monday look like? What does Tuesday look like? Are we going to play a game one of these days? Are we going to take a field trip? Oh, I have meetings in the morning, so we're going to do school in the afternoon. And maybe that's the day that you want to do more hands-on activities because by the afternoon, they might be a little bit more tired. And, in the morning, you might be having them work on some independent activities. And then that way you're, doing your meetings and they're working on something. So that's why the schedule does change throughout our time, right? Weekly, and it can change monthly. But starting to set up some kind of a routine and looking at that schedule and saying, okay, I can probably start school at 8, 8:30, depending on when your kids get up, right? My kids, I was like, do not wake them up. Let them sleep as long as they want. So I have my quiet morning time. So I'm ready and I can be fully ready for them and fully present for them. So that's like the rule in my house. Like my husband's been trying to wake up or, getting up with me. And I'm like, you have to be quiet. I was like, we do not wake the children. So it's like those are the things you kind of look at and say, well, what works for me? And that's how, whenever I work with a family, I can look at that with them and I say, oh, okay, I see a pattern here in your schedule. This is my recommendation. And here's a schedule. And then we have to stick to it for about 6 weeks. And yes, it's going to change. Things are going to come up. We have to be flexible. But it's like, yeah, this could work. We just have to be able to move things around if needed. Or, you know what, this was too stressful for everyone. We need to kind of pull back a little bit. So just to kind of wrap that up, like the biggest thing was for us, it's like that 9 to 12 is like intentional school time for them. Like I'm all in. We're going to read. We're going to play games. We're going to learn lessons, all of those things. And then we're going to have lunch together, maybe go for another walk, get some more energy out. And then I give them their activities for the afternoon, whether that's chores, whether that's practice work, whether that's, there's a program that we use, it's called IXL, so they can practice skills. Or sometimes I'm just like, take a break. Go ahead, go do whatever you want, go play. Or sure, you can watch a show because I'm going to sit down now and I'm going to work. And that sometimes, as I talk about this, is like filling up their cup first. And then I now have my intentional time. So that's something that we, would talk about too, of like, how would that fit for your personal schedule? So what do you think about that? Do you think that would be help? Does that help a little bit?
Yeah, that's very, very helpful. And it's building a system that works for you and your family,
Yes.
that you just getting into. And then and I can see it from our daily routine. Lately, I've been adjusting our daily routine with less TV and more.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning now it's the time to read a book, and it's the more you do it, and the more you keeping that routine during the day, it's easier
Yeah.
because it already knows, okay, this is, I don't have TV right now. I am going to read a book. Um, so it's just kind of like getting into that routine and adjusting it accordingly to what you have going on at
Mm-hmm.
that time. So yeah,
Yes.
I love that.
And the other thing I would say too is if you do have a business, you're including them into the business because now, number one, that's a life skill, right? I've always said this, but my number one priority for my kids is I want them to know how to make money. Like that's the biggest thing. I want you to learn all the skills and I want you to know how to run a business by the time you're 18. And from there, we can talk about just getting a business degree and then you could do whatever you want because they at least have that skill. They can always fall back on, I can take my own knowledge, my expertise, what I love to do, and I can turn it into a business. And they both have already started to do that, where Ella has started her own dog business and she makes dog treats. And she
Yeah.
has made a lot of money doing this, selling them into our neighbor or to families in our neighborhood, friends, different family members. She takes the orders and she has become so proficient in Canva where she now has created her own form. She has created a message that goes out that includes this form and she's able just to send that out and get orders. Or that's what she did. She created a flyer that had a QR code for this form. And she just now sends that form out. People scan it and she receives an order. And I was like, brilliant. Like it took me a long time to figure all this out.
And this is a life skill.
Yes.
This is an actual life skill, and I love it. And they are learning by watching us, even if you
Yes.
don't think that they're watching. I have a similar story. I created a catalog for all of my products in Canva, and Ellie one day decided that she wants to create a catalog too. So she created
I
some
love it.
summer camp that she wants to offer, and I saw her taking all kinds of photos and writing what it's going to be, what is the summer camp including, and yeah, so
I love it.
yeah, so they're really watching, and I love that they are developing these life skills just by watching us sometimes,
Yes.
and that's amazing. What
Hmm.
they're doing,
I
that's
love that. And it's so true. Like they'll write these descriptions, right? And we have come into this age of having AI now, right? Where it's like, oh, well, we can put something in and it'll make it look nice or make it sound better, right? And so
yes.
I read her descriptions and I'm like, oh, how did you do this? And she's like, I just wrote it. Like,
Same.
she's like, I didn't use anything. Like, I literally thought what I was going to do, how I was going to teach this, because she came up with a Canva class, how she could teach other people to learn how to do Canva. And she wrote this whole description. And I was like, wow, that was really good. And she's like, I don't know why people think this is so hard. Like, so I just love it so much. I mean, what a beautiful skill. What a beautiful gift. And Alex, he's out there. He made trail mix and he measured it all out and did the cost analysis for it all and how much it's going to cost per, different kinds of nuts and M&Ms and M's and all of those things. And he makes lemonade. Like those are his specialties. Like he'll go outside, set up a table, make lemonade, sell his trail mix. And I'm like, oh, you get it, boy. Like I'm just so proud because that's really what I want for them. I want them to know how to make money. And one, they're interacting with people. So there's socialization right there. A lot of times people say, oh, well, kids are going to homeschool, who are they socializing with? And it's like, wait a second. We're introducing them to the actual world. and they're socializing with everyone. You know, they're doing, with my kids, they're doing these businesses. They're interacting with all the neighbors. They're selling something. They have to take a transaction. And, sometimes I do have to remind them, like, say thank you or talk to them, do something, ask how they're doing, ask about their dog. How old are they? Or, any of those things. But that's what it's all about. You're setting up that stage for them. So then that way they're not shy or nervous when they go to talk to someone. And some of the other things I think about is like going to the grocery store. Let them help. Here's the list. Here's how you can, pick out the items. What item are we going to get? Are we going to choose something based on cost? Are we going to choose something based on ingredient list? Are we going to choose something because it's on sale? Like having those real conversations with our kids, that's a total life skill. And now they're learning about items, different products. They're learning about costs. Let them check it out. Let them pay for something. Talk to the cashier. And the other thing that you and I both do is we send activity kits in the mail, taking them to the post office, letting them understand what we're actually doing. What is this label? What is this stamp? Where does a stamp go on an envelope? Ella started a pen pal, and she wrote out the envelope, and I had to show her where the return address goes. Where does the sender address go? Where does the stamp go? And then there were different parts where she made her own envelope. And I'm like, I'm not even sure that it's going to get there, but here, sure, go ahead and send it. But it's allowing them to kind of experiment with those things. And I think just all of that wrapped up, is just really showing them what real life is about. And then just to kind of go off of the socialization just a little bit more, it's about finding a group that fits your needs. There's so many homeschool groups out there, and you can kind of just, touch your toes in the water a little bit, try them out a little bit and say, you know what, that group, not quite for me, or I don't really love this philosophy, or, and then here's the other thing, you can get into a group and then you can maybe just get connected with a few of the moms and you start creating your own group that way. So those are some of my socialization, that's my feedback on it, because it's like, man, I think we socialize way more than kids that are in public school. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think there is a misconception about socializing the kids, because when I sometimes talk to other people, this is the one of the concerns that they are talking about socialism,
How are they going to get it? Right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I love what you just shared, and yeah, they can socialize, but while selling the lemonade or with the cashier at the supermarket, and there are so many ways and all the groups, and I think today there are so many groups that, like you said, it's just try what you feel like it's the right group for you,
Right.
and then connecting with other families. And
Yeah, for sure. And that's something too that we have started to lean into. Like I have different mom groups in both areas. So I have a Momspiration 412 Pittsburgh and a Momspiration 706 Augusta. So if you're listening and if you're in any of those areas and you want to join, just head to Facebook. Those links can also be in the show notes below. But head to Facebook, those groups are there. And the whole point of that, like when I started all of those groups in Pittsburgh years ago, especially around, it was probably 2019 and then after 2020, after all the craziness of 2020. But we would get together at the park, people of all different backgrounds, all different walks of life, wherever they were at, we would just meet up at the park. And the beauty of that is, one, you can start to figure out who is kind of your person, right? Maybe they're not there, but your kids may be having a good time, and then you can start talking to other moms. I had an event one time, and two moms that I had known for years lived in the same neighborhood and didn't even know it. And yeah, it was just like that's the beauty of just getting moms together and being able to just find those connections and fine tune it, and it's like, yeah, you can start hanging out and then realize like, maybe not. Maybe that's our kids don't get along, or maybe it's just not a good fit, and that's okay. And, but there's so many people out there. There's so many groups out there. I mean, you could type in what you're specifically looking for in Facebook, and I'm sure you will find a group. And I think that is the beauty of being able to socialize nowadays is we have social media that's allowing us to connect with people virtually first and
Yeah.
then allowing us to get together.
Yes, and social media, I was just thinking about it while you just said it. It's so much easier today to find these groups, to connect, to find all this information. So it's much easier than it was 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So as we wrap up today, what do you think are is there anything else I would say? Is there anything else that you think as a parent that is considering homeschooling would like be a pressing question?
I will say the curriculum,
Mm-hmm.
the curriculum and the assessment. What information can you give about that?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That is, so for me, I don't necessarily recommend curriculum because I create my own curriculum and I teach the EduPlay learning curriculum. But when I work with families, I look at different pieces and I say, this would be a good fit for your family. This would be, and I would come up with a plan to meet your family's needs based on how does your child learn best? What is your schedule? What are the resources and supports that you need as a parent? And how do we fit all of those things in? And then the best part about that is I'm right there to walk alongside you to say, I got you. So whenever you do have a question, I can help guide you through that and be able to teach your child that skill because it may be something that you're like, I really don't know how to teach this. So that's the difference of EduPlay is where number one, I'm right there to assist. And two, there are videos then and the skill. So it's really skill based where we're looking at what are the skills that would be per grade level. But what I like to do is I don't necessarily love to say grade level, right? I want to focus on where is your child at skill wise because they could be reading at a third grade level, but their math could be at a first grade level. And they just need extra practice on those skills. So it's not holding them back at second grade or first grade. It's saying, okay, keep going and reading. So if that's a third grade level, we're going to keep reading and we're going to keep improving that skill. And if your math is at a first grade level, we're going to keep improving that and figure out what that challenge is so we can unlock that. And then that way they just continue to improve and increase those skills in that area, whatever that may be. But there are so many different options out there. So if that was something that you're like, may not be the best option for me, there are definitely so many different curriculums out there to be able to look at and find one that could be a better fit. In terms of assessment, like I said, it's all about like asking your kids, show me what you know. And I want to be able to teach them and I want them to be able to take 5 problems instead of 20 or 30, because if they know how to do 5 of them, then they most likely know how to do 30 of them. Like there's no need to do all of that extra work if they already know how to do it. Now, if they go through those first 5 and they're struggling, okay, then I know we need to pause. We need to go back and figure out, why is this a challenge for you? Why is this a struggle? And how can I help unlock that skill So then that way you can do these 5 problems and do 100 of them because now you know how to do it. And I think that is the beauty of homeschooling, where we have that freedom and that flexibility to just pause and say, you know what? I'm going to help you understand this so much better. So then that way, as you keep going, you're just going to remember it and you're going to be able to grow on it more and more. And I feel like the other thing is skills repeat so often. Like so many times, like you can be talking about nouns and verbs and adjectives in kindergarten. But guess what? You're also going to be talking about them in 3rd grade and in 4th grade and in 5th grade. It might be different. It might look different, but the most important thing for me in those younger years is I want them to be able to play. I want them to be able to enjoy learning and have a foundation of reading and math. Because as long as they are strong in reading and math, that is going to help everything else make it easier for them in life. And then we just keep adding these little skills, language arts skills. Well, if we're reading a book, we can talk about this is a noun because this is a person, place, or thing. It doesn't always have to be a separate lesson. They can be learning a skill while you're just talking about it. And then just being able for them to show those skills later on, and for assessments, like there are state requirements, but those are things like it's not teaching to the test for me. It's I'm going to teach you the skills. I want to see what you know. And if you didn't understand that, that's fine. No one is going to check this. No one's going to hold you back. I'm just going to be able to go over it again with you, and that's really what I believe the true benefit of homeschooling is that you really are able to meet the needs specifically of your child and help them to succeed in all areas where they need it the most.
Yeah, and I love it that homeschool can really give you the freedom to choose for your child, and that just with a little bit of creativity and structure, and you can make it happen, and it's giving you much more freedom to create what fits you and your child.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, I love it. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for being willing to be back on the show, to being able to have this conversation again. But is there anything else, any final things you just want to wrap up with today?
So if someone is listening and curious about homeschooling, but still feels like a little bit intimidated or overwhelmed, one thing you really want them to know.
I love that. Okay. Well, the first thing that I'm going to say is fill out the EduPlay Learning quiz in the show notes below, because that is going to open the door to you and I having a conversation about how your child learns best. And that's an opportunity for us to get connected and say, you know what, you don't have to make a decision right now. You just have to make one small step. And that would be it, of saying like, I might be interested, but there's no commitment, That's definitely something to consider and think about. So if you are thinking about it, the EduPlay Learning quiz in the show notes is a great way to kind of get started. But here's something that I want to leave you with that a homeschool mom told me years ago is when you start this journey, take it 1 year at a time. You can always pivot. You can always change your mind. And that to me, as a mom that I wasn't even homeschooling at that point, but that stuck with me so much because it was like you could do 1 year, evaluate and say, did this work best for my family? Was this the best option for my family? Or do we need to look at alternative options? And maybe that's a curriculum change. Maybe that's finding support, more support. It doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I tried homeschooling and I'm done. Maybe it just means you need a little bit more support. Maybe your kids need a little more guidance. Maybe it's a tutor. Maybe it is finding a co-op that someone else can teach them, but you're still with them. And I think that is the beauty of it all, is like, we want to be with our kids and we want to spend that time because that's how we are shaping them to be the people we want them to be in this world, and not letting everyone else in this world get to them first. I think that is probably the biggest reason. It's like, I don't want anyone else's opinions to influence my children and their beliefs. I want to be that main influence in their life. So many small steps, and taking it one step at a time, 1 year at a time, and knowing that you can pivot, and if you try it and you're like, homeschool is definitely not for us, there's always public school to go back to, or you can look at other schools. There's never shame in the fact that you started and you want to put them back in school. Okay. It just didn't work for your family, and that's okay. But I do recommend, if you are at that point, I would love to talk with you, because maybe it's just a few small tweaks to be able to make it more enjoyable for everyone. And that's what I love doing, is being able to help meet those needs for each family, to make it enjoyable for the parents to enjoy teaching, and for the kids to enjoy learning, and just making the environment a peaceful one, a joyful one, where it does kind of flow with ease. Now, there are going to be hard days. That's something that's so true. The kids are going to say, I don't want to do this. They're going to whine. They're going to, I think there's a whole episode that needs to happen on the negatives, the downfall of this all, of like, not necessarily downfall, but what you will encounter as a homeschool mom, and I think too, it's just being able to overcome that. What do we do in those situations? So many things, so many great things to share with so many families.
Yeah. And just the fact that you can, like you said, you can pivot, you can try to come back to it and see what worked, what didn't, and that you can always go back if you need to. That's taking the level of stress a little bit.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, because it doesn't have to be like, okay, this is now
forever.
If it doesn't work, you can always go back. You can find other ways. And like we talked about, there is so much information in social media and groups that can give you that support, that it's actually very much doable.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Well, I hope this was helpful for you as you consider the next steps for you and your daughter. And I definitely hope this was helpful for other families as well. So thank you, Yafit, so much for being here and for coming back on the show. I really appreciated it.
Thank you for having me again.
Yes, absolutely. Well, friends, like I said, one, I didn't even share this, but definitely join the Home Education with Ease Facebook group. So that's a free community, a private community that you can come and you can ask all of your questions on, what does this look like? How would I even start this journey? And then, like I said, that link for the quiz is in the show notes below. So all of these links will be in the show notes, and I would love to get connected with you and help you on your educational journey. Well, thanks so much, guys. Remember, see each moment as a chance to learn, create, and have fun. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to the Home Education with Ease podcast. I hope today's episode left you feeling empowered and ready to take the next steps on your home education journey. Your support means the world to me. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend. For even more resources, be sure to join the free Facebook group, Home Education with Ease, and visit eduplaylearning.com to explore our programs and subscription kits. You can find the links and any other links mentioned in this episode in the show notes below. Remember, you're not alone. This community is here to support you every step of the way.